Good evening. You are tuning in to AWANI Tonight with me, Cynthia Ng. MCA and MIC's decision to skip the upcoming state elections will not affect their pledge of allegiance towards the unity government. Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim says although the decision to skip the state elections was under Barisan Nasional's purview, both MCA and MIC presidents had given their assurance to support the government.
Kuasa Barisan Nasional, tetapi saya ucap terima kasih kerana kesediaan mereka membantu dan masih mempertahankan kedudukan kerajaan perpaduan.
On Wednesday, MCA and MIC said they would not field any candidates in the upcoming polls, adding that they would focus on preparing for the 16 general elections instead. Elections for Selangor, Penang, Negeri Sembilan, Kedah, Kelantan and Terengganu will take place on August 12th.
MCA and MIC's decision to sit out on the state polls casts a dim future for the two parties, says political scientist Professor Wong Chin Huat. He examines the precedents this would set for the next general elections.
The first rule in coalition politics in Malaysia is that if a party wins a seat, then it gets to keep that seats. Only seats that are won by their common opponents would be open for negotiation. That means in Selangor and Penang, UMNO will get to keep 4 and 2 seats respectively. But in Selangor, reportedly, PH will give away 6 seats to BN so that there will be 11 seats. It appears that all these 6 extra seats are in Malay majority areas and will be contested by UMNO rather than MCA and MIC. But what is curious is that in Negeri Sembilan, where MIC actually has won a seat in the last election, that's it, in Jeram Padang, this time would not be able to retain that seat, which means that seat is more likely than not would go to UMNO. That's something a bit alarming. What it means is these two parties would have a dim future in GE16 because they probably only get to recontest in the parliamentary seats in Johor and Perak, and also state seats in Malacca and Johor for both parties, and Pahang for MIC.
Chin Huat also sheds light on how the decision could impact the dynamics within the Barisan Nasional coalition.
I think this is unfortunately a cruel fact that both MCA and MIC need to swallow. It's clear-cut in Selangor and Penang that they have lost all the mixed seats, and therefore UMNO probably have convinced them that even if they stand in any of those seats, they don't stand a chance to retain it. But what is surprising is the case of Negeri Sembilan, and the fact that MIC is willing to step aside for UMNO. I suppose that they probably would offer MIC a seat, a senator seat through appointment as compensation.
For both MCA and MIC to remain relevant, Chin Huat suggests offering more chances for them to contest in the future. This includes encouraging the parties to participate in healthy and civil competitions against other component parties of Pakatan Harapan.
What happened in the state elections were to be followed, then MIC would get to stand in only Tapa and MCA in only Tam and Tanjung PI. And DAP or other PH party would stand aside. But that means these two parties would be confined to only 3 seats together. If this unity government is prepared to explore a new ball game, then they should allow a limited number of friendly matches between BN and PH. Limited number means that the seats that you're going to see the friendly matches would be those where either PH or BN or both sides have a strong presence, so much so that they can afford to split their votes, and PN as the main competitor still cannot win. Second, these two coalitions would have to contest against each other by emphasizing their product differentiations without going all out to attack the other party to the extent that they cannot share power after elections. And if the coalition politics in Malaysia can move towards that direction, this would be a very good development, because it means that despite having a broad-based coalition government at federal or even at the state level, we could still see healthy competitions between component coalitions of the coalition government.
The Transport Ministry is investigating the management of not-to-land or NTL orders in a recent case involving a Chinese national at KLIA. According to Anthony Loke, his ministry can't simply take action against those involved, as NTL is managed by a private company appointed by the Airline Operators Committee, AOC, and requires further investigation.
Lok said the private company had agreements with airlines and had received immigration approval since 2015. Hence, it is not operating illegally. He, however, said his ministry would like to examine how the private company operates in managing NTL, in comparison with other airports such as KLIA 2, where NTL is managed directly by the Immigration Department. Last week, a commotion broke out in KLIA involving Tourism, Arts and Culture Minister Datuk Sri Tiong King Sing, who defended a Chinese national named Wang Su. She was detained by immigration officers after she was served with a not-to-land notice at KLIA on June 30th.
Bank Negara Malaysia has capped the overnight policy rate OPR at 3%. At the current level, the central bank says the monetary policy stance is slightly accommodative and remains supportive of the economy. According to Bank Negara, the domestic economy expanded at a moderate pace in recent months after a strong outrun in the first quarter of 2023. It said growth for the rest of the year will be driven by resilient domestic demand, supported by strong labour market conditions. Global growth, however, remains weighed down by persistent core inflation and higher interest rates. Bank Negara's latest OPR decision follows the 25 basis point hike in May as it moved to further normalize monetary policy in line with domestic growth prospects. It kept rates unchanged in its first two meetings this year after 4 consecutive hikes in 2022, totaling to 100 basis points. Putrajaya is finalizing a proposal to impose periodic or monthly mandatory withdrawals from the Employees Provident Fund (EPF) upon reaching the voluntary retirement age of 55. Prime Minister Datuk Sri Anwar Ibrahim says the government has no objections to the proposal and will leave it to the EPF.
Itu masih di peringkat akhir. Saya tidak ada keberatan. Dia ikut ayat speech seperti yang tersebut. Kita dengar ucapan Datuk Sri Amir Hamzah sebentar tadi ada beberapa kekurangan, terutama di kalangan yang simpanan yang terlalu kecil. Okay?
The Prime Minister was commenting on EPF CEO Datuk Sri Amir Hamzah's suggestion of encouraging EPF members who are 55 years old to withdraw their savings periodically, rather than in a lump sum. This was to ensure they could continue enjoying annual dividends and have sufficient savings for their retirement.
We'll take a quick break. Stay tuned for more.
Jika smash anda seperti pro, Astro Rewards memberikan anda peluang untuk bersinar di Astro Badminton Cup. Pelanggan Astro boleh memenangi sebahagian daripada RM30,000. Daftar Astro Rewards sekarang di My Astro.
Meta's new application Threads passed 10 million sign-ups in its first 7 hours. Its CEO, Mark Zuckerberg, says the company's newly launched app aims to outrival Twitter, currently owned by Elon Musk. However, he pitched the app as a friendly rival to Twitter.
Zuckerberg had brought forward the app's debut by 15 hours, making it freely available in 100 countries on the Apple and Google app stores. However, it has not launched in the European Union due to regulatory concerns. On Threads, posts can be shared to Instagram and vice versa, and can include links, photos, and videos of up to 5 minutes in length. Users will be able to post up to 500 characters and unfollow, block, restrict, or report others, as well as filter out replies to posts that contain specific words. The company seeks to attract users from Musk's platform, which recently imposed daily tweet viewing limits, citing extreme data scraping.
Hong Kong's legislature unanimously passed a bill to overhaul district-level elections by greatly reducing directly elected seats. The bill, tabled by the government to the Legislative Council in May, was approved without objection, paving the way for this year's elections.
Under the amendment bill, only 88 seats would be directly elected by the public, down from 452 seats in the past election. Pro-democracy politicians won 388 out of 452 district council seats during the 2019 district council election, taking almost 90% of the seats from the pro-Beijing camp. Additionally, the bill also reduces the number of overall seats from 479 to 470. Critics say the bill will further stifle the remaining democratic opposition in Hong Kong. The national security law imposed by China in 2020 has already led to the arrest of former lawmakers and district councillors and the disbandment of several democratic political parties.
At least 16 people, including 3 children, have died in a toxic gas leak in South Africa. Emergency service officials fear more bodies could be found overnight as search and rescue operation continues.
The incident happened in an informal settlement in the city of Boksburg, east of Johannesburg. One gas cylinder was found leaking, with victims found within a 100-meter radius of the scene. The leak has been linked to illegal gold mining in the area. Illegal mining is rife in the gold-rich areas around Johannesburg, where nitrate oxide gas is often used by miners to extract gold from soil stolen from abandoned mine shafts. This tragedy comes just 6 months after a gas tanker explosion on Christmas Eve, which claimed 41 lives in the same town.
Donald Trump's main fundraising committee has raised more than $35 million in the second quarter of 2023, nearly double what the former president brought in during the first quarter of the year. The acceleration in fundraising could be a sign that Trump's presidential campaign is benefiting from his many legal problems.
Trump was indicted last month on charges that include mishandling classified documents after he left the White House in 2021. Prosecutors in New York City charged him in April in a separate case involving an alleged hush money payment to an adult film actress. Trump has disputed all the charges, saying he is the victim of a political witch hunt, an argument he uses regularly in his email fundraising appeals. According to a Trump campaign official, the more than $35 million in reported donations far outstripped the $18.8 million raised in the first 3 months of the year. Trump is the frontrunner seeking the Republican presidential nomination for the presidential election in November 2024.
That wraps up AWANI Tonight. I'm Cynthia Ng. Thank you for watching and good night.